Volcanic eruptions are one of the most dangerous and terrifying cataclysms that occur on Earth. Recently, if you remember, we were once again shown how spectacular and destructive they can be in Iceland. Today, we are going to show you what causes them, what types of volcanoes there are, and we will share some really unique videos of eruptions. Let's start. Volcanoes appear as our window into the inner part of the Earth, through which we may have a look at the processes underneath. Some volcanoes boil with lava, others raise massive pillars of ash, some flood vast territories and destroy everything in their path. And there are those that explode with terrible force. There are about 1,500 active volcanoes on the surface of the Earth, and there are even more underwater. But their exact number is unknown to us, since we have studied only 5% of the oceans. It is estimated that underwater volcanoes may be 10 or even 100 times more than terrestrial ones. The word volcano itself comes from ancient Roman mythology. This is the name of their god of fire and blacksmiths, analogous to the Greek Hephaestus or the Slavic Svarog. And did you know that there is a volcano called Volcano? It is located in Italy. You will notice from the map that most volcanoes are located where the tectonic plates meet. It is also the weak spot in the Earth's crust where magma can most easily escape to the surface. In fact, the volcanoes may be several types. Shield volcanoes, like those in Hawaii, for example, which are low and the lava just flows out slowly. The second type is lava domes, which are a bit taller, and there may be a lake of boiling lava at their throat. Ash cones are the third type, and their name says it all. These are the ones that are most often in the news. Stratovolcanoes are the next and most iconic type, because they are those huge cone-shaped mountains. The most prominent example of such is Fuji in Japan. The last fifth type is called a supervolcano, and it is the one we should worry about the most. Supervolcanoes have huge calderas or craters that are tens of square miles in size. Their eruptions are catastrophic for entire continents and can cause changes in the planet's climate, such as a nuclear-like volcanic winter. Fortunately, there are no active supervolcanoes on Earth. They erupt every few 100,000 years, and it has even happened that the interval between eruptions is over 1 million years. Ordinary volcanoes that have not erupted for more than 1 million years are considered to be permanently dormant. The most famous supervolcano is Yellowstone in the USA. Its caldera alone is 30 by 50 miles and last erupted 640,000 years ago. By the way, it is believed that it is already late for its next eruption by several thousands years, but no one knows if this will happen soon. Did you know that Europe also has a supervolcano? It is located in Italy and is called Campi Flegrei. Its caldera or throat is the entire Gulf of Naples. Scientists are actively monitoring it because a lot of earthquakes have happened in its area in recent years. They have even developed an evacuation plan. The largest concentration of volcanoes in the world, about 75% of all, are located along the Pacific Ring of Fire, the line that follows the collision of several tectonic plates. When the core-heated magma begins to rise, her pressure rises and finds a way to break out. Once out, the magma on the surface is now known as lava. Usually, its temperature is about 1,200 degrees Celsius, and it's not at all healthy to stay around, although there will still be daredevils who play with it. In recent months in Iceland, we witnessed the birth of a brand new volcano, which engulfed the nearby town of Grundvig. Iceland, meanwhile, is entering a new volcanic era, as a second volcano erupted about a month ago. Scientists fear that this is just the beginning. Between 20 and 40 volcanoes erupt every day around the world. The most active lately are, naturally, in Iceland, Popocatépetl in Mexico, and as always, Kilauea in Hawaii. In addition to lava, volcanoes can also erupt with hot gases and ash formed deep in the mantle. The scary mile-high pillars in the atmosphere are immense, but another phenomenon known as pyroclastic flow can also occur. These are super hot gases with a temperature reaching several hundred degrees in combination with soot and small stones, which crawl along the slope of the volcano at a speed of about 100 miles per hour. As you can imagine, they are hard to escape. They sweep everything in their path and cover it with a thick layer of ash. Sometimes these gas eruptions can last for days, as was the case in 2010, again in Iceland. Ash in the atmosphere completely paralyzed air traffic in Europe and between it and North America. If you remember, about 100,000 flights were canceled. It is estimated that 1 in 20 people in the world live in the zone of an active volcano. That makes about 350 million people worldwide. However, they take this risk because of the fertile soil that usually forms around volcanoes. Did you know that there is a volcanic island in Japan with a second volcano in the center? Kind of like a volcano within a volcano. It is called Aogashima, and in the caldera of the great volcano there is a town that has been evacuated several times. The Japanese have built special volcanic kitchens, where people can cook, stew fish, vegetables, and take advantage of the completely free energy or heat from the inner earth. We've reached the middle. Give a thumbs up in support of the video, and let's continue with the most interesting facts about volcanoes. The strangest volcanic eruption ever occurred on February 20th, 1943, while a farmer from Mexico and his wife were digging their fields in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly a fissure appeared from which stones and ash began to come out. This happened near the village of Paracutin, after which the volcano is named, and right now you are watching authentic footage of his birth. Just 1 week later, a volcano as tall as a 5-story building appeared on the poor man's flat field. But that's not all. Its growth lasted for 9 years and thus reached a height of 1,200 feet. By the way, about 3 weeks before the eruption, residents began to report a terrible rumbling and explosions underground. This, of course, is caused by the lava making its way up. It is believed that this newly emerged volcano will never erupt again, because according to scientists, this one belongs to the monogenic volcanoes that erupt only once. But the Mansfield is gone. The largest volcanic eruption in the history of mankind occurred in Indonesia in 1815. Mount Tambora erupted with terrible force, taking at least 10,000 human lives. The explosion created a huge caldera over 3,000 feet deep that can be seen today from space. The largest active volcano is Mauna Loa in Hawaii, which, by the way, is known for its large-scale lava flows. It is as high as 13,689 feet. Underwater volcanoes are also very interesting to observe, especially when they spew lava. However, sometimes things get dangerous, and the surface is also affected. Quite often, islands form in the middle of nowhere appear, but several days later sink back to the bottom. The smallest volcano in the world is currently Taal in the Philippines. It is only 310 meters, but it is a mean one, because it is one of the most active in the country. There are 33 documented eruptions. Naturally, there are volcanoes not only on Earth, but also on other planets. The highest volcano in the solar system is located on Mars. It is 16 miles high, or about 3 times the height of Mount Everest. It is called Olympus Mons. Otherwise, the most active volcanic activity in the solar system is observed on Jupiter's satellite Io. Much of the moon is literally covered in lava. In recent years, there has been a trend to drink volcanic wines in Europe. They are made from the grapes of vines planted directly in the throat of an active volcano. Since 2018, there has even been an international conference on volcanic wine. One of the most famous eruptions in human history was that of Mount Vesuvius, which obliterated the entire city of Pompeii. Thanks to it, however, the ashes sealed the city and thus became the best preserved ancient city. In Indonesia is the volcano Kava Ingen, famous for its glowing blue lava, which I have already told you about. It contains a very large amount of sulfur and therefore burns with its famous bluish color. The loudest sound in recorded human history came from the eruption of the Krakatau volcano in Indonesia in 1883. It is believed to have burst the eardrums of people within a 65-kilometer radius around it, and the sound was heard up to 5,000 kilometers away. As much as 2/3 of his island simply ejected into the atmosphere and fell on an area of 1 million square miles. It is believed that all this was accompanied by tsunamis, at least 50 meters high. Australia is the only continent on the planet that has no active volcanoes to date. There are no strong earthquakes either, as they sit comfortably away from the edges of one of the Earth's plates. One of the most catastrophic eruptions in the 20th century was that of Mount St. Helens in the United States in 1980. The video you are watching, by the way, was constructed from photos of a deceased photographer nearby. Only the ash it threw into the atmosphere covered about 38,000 square miles. Imagine half of Greece covered in ash. We usually imagine volcanoes with lava boiling up inside their throats, but this is actually extremely rare. To date, only 7 volcanoes have lava lakes. Did you know that according to various rankings, the country with the most volcanoes is the USA, with as many as 170. In second place is Russia with about 160. And if you remember, there was a pretty big eruption there a few months ago as well. Japan and Indonesia are fighting for third place with about 140 active volcanoes. Every few years, densely populated areas are surprised by volcanoes and the damage is quite serious. Volcanic pumice is a stone that does not sink in water, but floats on the surface. Sometimes huge amounts of pumice are collected on the beaches after an eruption, and the sight is truly amazing. Very often, the eruption of the volcano is accompanied by lightning because the ejected particles are charged. For example, right now you're watching the ones in Guatemala, which are really beautiful, and the ones here are from another eruption. Volcanoes can be dangerous even months after the eruption has ended. An awful lot of ash accumulates on their slopes together with unstable rocks and other debris that, in a heavy rain, go down powerfully like a mud flow. Volcanoes, of course, have a good side. They form new land around them, which in many cases is also fertile. It just needs a little time to cool and break down to be fertile and planted on. We conclude with the fact that scientists today are looking for methods to relieve pressure from magma chambers under volcanoes, and thus artificially prevent large-scale eruptions. Leave a like and consider subscribing if you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.